So I think we can probably commentate as live as...
Yeah. And
what worked well last time was one of us keeping an eye on that.
On that, yeah. We did it well last time, I think.
Yeah. Well, everyone, the good, it's only if people complain you need to worry, so no one did. So.
Nobody complained. We were safe for the day.
Yeah. Should do it.
Beautifully bowled. Absolutely stunning. Yeah! Knocked him over.
County ground in Chelmsford for what looks set to be a very interesting matchup this morning. We have the county's select 11 up against New Zealand, the number 1 ranked test team in the world. New Zealand have won the toss and have decided to bat this morning. I'm delighted to say that Kath has joined me this morning. And, thoughts ahead of this one, Kath?
Hello, Guy. Hello to everyone listening. It's an overcast day here at Chelmsford, and we're in for a bit of a treat here with the number 1 test team, New Zealand, against a very, very good side by the look of things.
There's several big question marks and interesting subtext to this as well, particularly with the likes of Ollie Robertson and Dom Sibley playing this morning, both of whom looking to get back into the England ranks.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think this is the perfect opportunity, isn't it, to showcase yourself against this side with the test match coming up next week. This is a real good opportunity for some of these players.
So it is guard being taken, and we wait for the first ball. There is a decent crowd here as well, which is good to see, and understandably, given, as I say, we're watching the world's number 1 test side this morning, you'd expect there to be a few people.
Who will want to be here today, Guy? So Jamie Porter looks like he's going to be opening up on his home ground. He'll know this ground very, very well.
Which would make sense.
It would indeed.
Porter is in and he gets some nice bounce, very first ball. And certainly batsman up on his toes to play that out to the gully.
Yeah, it's going to be... He's got to use this new ball, I think, against this side. You know, he's got to hit his right areas, and not a bad start there for Porter.
Porter then with a little trot at the top of his action. High pumping elbows. Maybe not quite the bounce on that second delivery, but certainly quick enough to keep Tom Latham interested.
Yeah, and he looks like he's trying to hit that hard back of a length, top of off stump area, forcing Latham to go onto the back foot and just be cautious, I suppose, in these first couple of overs. It's a long time to bat here, so he doesn't need to be in a rush, does he, Guy?
No, absolutely right. Last time Kath Dalton and I were commentating, it was a T20. It was a different pace.
Just slightly.
Oh, unbeaten. Absolute beauty from Jamie Porter.
That is exactly the area he's going to want to hit. That was perfect, wasn't it? Just setting the batter up, hitting that area, top of off stump, in that corridor of uncertainty, as we call it.
Absolutely. Perfect delivery to the left-hander. Just moving away a little bit off the seam. Absolute peach as we watch that one again.
You're just happy not to nick those as a batter.
Yeah. In again. And that is pitched up a little, but is left comfortably by Latham outside off stump.
Yeah, just getting a little bit of shape there, Porter. Shaping away from the left-hander. He's got plenty of slip, so he'll be ready for it if there is a nick through there. He started magnificently here.
Speedo is with us as well this morning, and that was a fraction under 80 miles an hour from Jamie Porter, that last delivery. In again, and this is left very well by the batsman, leaving it on height really. Yes, it was outside just off stump, but that is a batsman who knows very much where his off stump is. Absolutely.
I think in Test cricket you have to know where your off stump is and when to leave and when to play. I think that's just the whole challenge of playing longer format cricket. It really tests your technique, especially early on at the top of the order.
Well, good over so far. No runs from it. One delivery has beaten the bat. And Jamie Porter is in for the final delivery of this opening over, and it's middled for the first time really in this over, but played defensively up to mid-off, and that is a cracking way for the local boy to get going, the Essex man.
It sounds like the crowd were quite happy with him there as well. Local Essex boy, so he'll be getting a lot of support here over the next couple of days, I'm sure. But yeah, fantastic over, good bit of fielding as well. Although Lathan's drive there, he looked like he was in decent touch. He's played that very well, hasn't he? He's picked when to, hasn't he? When to go, when not to.
And the judgment on and around off stump, superb as well. So does look as if that could be a very interesting battle.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's a little bit of a breeze coming over at Chelmsford at the moment, so that could aid the swing of the bowlers a little bit early on as well. Just using that breeze to help swing the cricket ball can also help.
And interestingly, it will be Ben Gibbon who will be opening from the other end. Maybe Ollie Robinson we might have expected, but he looks as if he's going to be changing. So it's the Worcestershire 21-year-old from Chester originally, but now plying his trade for Worcester.
Yeah, and I believe he's just signed a 2-year deal, his first one, so this is a big opportunity for him, isn't it?
Well, when you played 2 first-class matches and then you're thrown in against the world's #1 test team, but people obviously think very highly of Ben Gibbon, left armour, and he's immediately on the money, outside off stump.
I think there'll be a lot of adrenaline in his system this morning. Being so young and bowling against these bowlers, this is just invaluable experience for him. Let's hope he goes well.
Indeed. But a lot of it is down to the start, and that was a good one.
Very good start.
And that's left outside off stump. Wide-ish, easy to leave.
Yeah, I think as a batter early on, you're happy to leave those deliveries outside off stump. You don't want to get tempted into a flashing drive too early, so he probably needs to just tighten his line up again, as he did on the first ball. Make sure he's attacking top of off and make it challenging for these New Zealand batters.
But it is a big ask to step up to this level immediately in your career. But he's got something about him, certainly putting Young under a little bit of pressure there.
Yeah, and the left-right hand combination as an opening bowling partnership is something that's not easy for the batters.
Ollie Robinson has been withdrawn from the county's select 11 against New Zealand as a precaution after he felt stiffness in his back during the warm-up this morning. Middlesex seamer Ethan Bamber has been called up as a replacement. So Ollie Robinson's back that has given him such grief recently, and in fact all England seamers seem to have some back problems currently, with 3 out with stress fractures currently on my last count. So another back problem for Ollie Robinson.
That's not good news for England fans. Needed Ollie Robinson to be fit and firing for that first Test match, so might be good news for New Zealand fans. I've got one next to me here as well.
We'll be getting that reaction later, but there's a smile that is proving difficult to move currently. But a chance for Ethan Bamber, which is always good to see another young player being given a chance to push his name forward. I've seen him play for Middlesex. He's a decent bowler. As that over comes to an end, just the 1 run from it. Well, bowled in the end from Gibbon. In fact, sorry, that was the first single. There is one more ball to come from this over.
Getting too excited there, Guy.
I was so thrown by the Ollie Robinson bad backstory that.
Yeah, it's interesting. The fast bowlers are breaking down a lot at the moment in the England team.
You just go through them. There's Ollie Stone still out.
Yes.
Mahmood is gone, hasn't he?
Yeah, Mahmood's gone for the whole summer, hasn't he? So.
And he had been one of the real successes of the West Indies tour. In again. Oh, and that's Fuller, but he's clipped away absolutely beautifully for the first boundary of the day. And a lesson to young Ben Gibbon: don't pitch it up too much. You will see it dispatched, and dispatched it was beautifully as well by Tom Latham.
Yeah, effortless timing there from Latham. He looked like he was playing the first over very well, leaving balls outside off stump, just being very cautious, and as soon as he got half a chance there, he just jumped on that. It was a lovely looking shot, cracked off the bat here at Chelmsford.
Yeah, because he's a man who can score quickly as well, Tom Latham. He's got a double 100 for his country, so he's a man who knows his way around.
And Latham and Young, I believe, last week against Sussex both scored 50s, so they're obviously in good touch already, and just adding to it hopefully here today.
A lengthy discussion.
Trying to discuss tactics here, I think.
Absolutely. Don't pitch it up too much.
I think here at Chelmsford, when the pitch does seem to nip around a little bit, as we've seen in first class cricket already this year, so he's got to hit that back of a length, that top of off length, outside off stump, and just let the ball do the work really.
So Jamie Porter in again just short of the length, just outside off stump, good line again. Yes, this is his home ground and you'd expect him to bowl well, but you've still got to do it against a very good team. And the weather here is changing a bit. It was a glorious sunny day first thing. The wind is now getting up. It's cloudy. Kath wore her shorts, which is now regretting.
I'm very much regretting my shorts. When I got some coffees earlier, the lady said, "Why are you wearing shorts? Do you not know this is England?" Major schoolgirl error right there.
Jamie Porter in again, and that is Fuller, and it is clipped away off his legs really nicely by Young. The fielder will cut it off.
That was another lovely shot. I think there's risk and reward here for Porter. He obviously got left on length the previous delivery because it was a little bit too short, and he's just gone a little bit fuller there, and they've worked it away for runs. So it's that in-between length, which is not easy to hit as a bowler.
Ball not swinging much though, is it? The two or three times we've seen the ball pitched up, it doesn't seem to have been doing that much.
No, it doesn't seem to be causing them too many problems as of yet.
Porter in again, and that's a decent delivery that jags back a little.
As we say that.
Yeah. I think that was movement off the pitch, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
There was a bit, but you're absolutely right. Well bowled and no run.
Little inside edge there from Young onto his pad. Sometimes those can just creep through and hit the stumps, but he got lucky there. That was fine.
3 slips and a gully. Porter in again, and that's left nicely outside off stump by Will Young.
Yeah, and I think the speeds that the two opening bowlers are bowling is high 70s, low 80s, so that they don't really have much room for error. As we've seen with other quick bowlers in and around the English system, like Jofra Archer, when he's firing, you can kind of get away with it a little bit more, but these guys have to be seriously skilled against these batters and hit their areas pretty much every time.
Yes, without that express pace. Porter is in again and left comfortably outside off stump. Will Young, although he's 29, he's still really at the beginning of his test career, just 9 tests so far, average of just over 31, high score of 89, so still making his way.
And as a batter, sometimes you mature a little bit later in test cricket, don't you?
Graham Gooch certainly did, scoring most of his runs in his 30s. In again, just bearing his length nicely at the moment, although that is played pretty comfortably up to mid-on, but that is the end of the over, just the 2 runs from it. Latham 4 not out, Young on 3, And a good, decent little battle between bat and ball first thing this morning.
Absolutely, and I think early on in a 4-day game, you want a bit of a challenge first up. You want it to be a little bit of a tussle. So yeah, these two bowlers have started fairly well. It's only been maybe 3 deliveries that weren't quite on the money. But yeah, they look like they're trying to hit the right areas of the pitch and make something happen.
Well, there are opportunities around at the moment with the shortage of pace bowlers. It looks as if Ben Gibbon cranked it up a little for that delivery. Yep, just under 80 miles an hour, 79.1.
Absolutely, and I think so many injuries now in this England team. As a young player, you must be thinking, if I can put in a few performances here, something exciting might happen.
Yeah.
You just never know, and as we know with sport, Guy, things happen very quickly. Your career can just change in a flash.
In again then Gibbon. Oh, and that is, we were talking about pace, and that one jagged back, it bounced. Latham, well, he had to take one for the team on that occasion, but good bowling and sharp bowling.
I think that's just hit the seam and nip back, hasn't it? It was a really, really good delivery there by Gibbon. He looks like he's settling a little bit more now, doesn't he?
I think you're absolutely right, Kath. And that's Fuller, but mistimed really on the drive. And nice fielding off his own bowling, but just a touch slower, that one, around the 75 rather than the 80 mark. And so far impressing, this young man.
Yeah, he's come on early on, hit his areas, which is exactly what he wants to do. He looks quite comfortable at this level, to be honest.
And there is always something useful if you've got a decent left armour in your team, as we know from certainly the people of Essex will remember Jake Lever and several since, and just having that different line of attack can make all the difference sometimes.
Yeah, it's just that, especially as a batter, it's the angles that you're facing as well, between right and left-handed bowlers, and you've got to change your angle and how you set up as well as a batter to try and comprehend that.
Now, don't bowl short and wide is the lesson from that particular delivery. That was the first one that really was short and wide and was treated accordingly, though holding up a bit on the outfield.
I'm not sure how that didn't go for 4.
Yeah, it did seem to slow up a lot. Maybe it wasn't fully middled. It sounded middled from where we were.
He looked like he gave it the kitchen sink, as they say.
Only the 3 from it.
I'm glad I'm not playing on this outfield today, Guy. Seems like a lot of running involved.
That is a very, very nice champagne-looking drive for nothing from Young. End of an over where we saw some good stuff, but also lesson learned that if you do stray, you'll be punished. And that's maybe not for the full 4 that we were expecting, as it held up on the outfield, but 3 runs from that over, the score goes to 10 after 4. But I think we've seen enough from Gibbon's first 2 overs to realise why he was selected for this team.
Definitely, I think he's looked like he's got the ball to nip around a little bit, tried to shape it off the seam, which is great, and caused a few problems. Obviously that one loose delivery there in that over wouldn't be what he wanted to bowl, but it only went for 3, and if your bad ball's going for 3, then happy days.
Indeed. Porter pitching this up, and they trot through for the first quick single we've really seen so far today. Fielder is in and swoops but misses the stumps, and they were safely home anyway. And it makes sense, you've got left-right opening combination, as is traditional if you can do it, and keep the bowler having to change his line and length.
There's a couple of false shots here by New Zealand, actually. That one wasn't really that well controlled. We've had some cracking drives as well, don't get me wrong, but that looked like a little bit of a false shot. Wasn't 100% confident going into that.
Porter a little bit wide of off stump, and that is comfortable for the leave from Young.
So we're going to have a test score prediction, I think, here, Guy.
Oh!
So first test next week, England, New Zealand. Who's winning that one, do you think?
That is a very good question. Because of all the injury problems and the way things have gone so far, I'd have to have New Zealand as slight favourites. World champions and England struggling ever so slightly. There's a slightly thickish outside edge there, and there was a brilliant stop in the gully to ensure that that didn't go down to the boundary. Super piece of fielding, but a moral victory for Jamie Porter. Thickish outside edge, perfectly safe, and it went all the way along the ground, but an edge nonetheless. Your feeling for the first test?
It's one I don't wish I felt. I think New Zealand are gonna grab that first test, in my opinion. It's too many injuries for England with the bowling attack.
With the bowling attack,
yeah.
I agree. And the fact that they're still not quite sure what the top three is going to look like, as is often the way in these. Who's actually going to be opening?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bit of a rebuilding time for England in Test cricket. A new coach, new captain.
Yes, well, apposite that New Zealand are the team with Brendan McCullum coming in. We'll have to ask what our colleague feels about that particular move later. George Harper will be joining us later, and we will get George's opinion on Brendan McCullum becoming the England red ball coach.
I think we might have differing opinions to George. Maybe we shouldn't let him near the mic.
Ball that followed him a little, but well played in the end by Young. Just the one run from that over, and Jamie Porter continues to bowl nicely, but really we've just seen the one delivery beat the bat, a thick outside edge, and that's the closest we've almost come to a wicket so far. So Latham and Young looking moderately comfortable at the moment, I'd have said, Kath.
Yeah, it just looks like they're just trying to have some time at the crease here, Young and Latham. They don't look like they're playing too many expensive shots, but as you said, not too many full shots either outside off stump. Although a couple of drives haven't been quite timed yet. Yeah, there's not been too many edges or player misses so far anyway. Even that shot there, nicely timed really. Got forward, got his head into the shot and timed it nicely.
Absolutely. No, this is when the bowlers need to realise that probably a bit of patience is required on this wicket. It's not immediately leaping around in their favour. So the wind gets up a bit, so a slightly false shot actually in the end. Thickish inside edge goes out onto the leg side.
And as you said, I think Test cricket is just about patience, isn't it? Getting through this early spell here, where the ball's new, just grinding it out and waiting for the bad ones. That's what they're doing. They're just playing the good ones, wait for the bad ones. Cricket's an easy game, isn't it?
It is from here. This is a decent over so far from Ben Gibbon. Certainly got the batsman up on his toes. Changed his line of attack a little, you feel, to the left-handed Latham.
Yeah, it looks like he's bowling a little bit straighter, with fine leg out on the boundary as well. He's got a little bit of protection there to bowl straighter to do that.
And again, there or thereabouts.
Be interesting to see how long they keep these two on for. Obviously, this is just the start of their spell, but
For sure.
how long they will stay on if there's not too many chances being created. Do they throw them while the ball's still new? Do they throw it to somebody else?
And again, perhaps surprised by a little bit of extra pace on that delivery.
Looks like that's nipping back a little bit there,
It
Guy,
does.
doesn't it?
And there is a slight slope here at Chelmsford, not as noticeable as Lord's, obviously, but I think he brought that back up a little.
Yeah, and then there's a little bit of an incline into the crease here as well for Gibbon. Just very slight. You can't really tell on the live stream, but from where we're sitting, you just got to go into the crease, and it does slope slightly, doesn't it?
Well, he seems to be coming to terms with it now. This is probably as good as over as he's bowled throughout. And it's a maiden, and he kept Latham under pressure throughout. Good over.
Yeah, he was trying to set him up there, wasn't he? He bowled a couple of balls that nipped back into him, onto his thigh pad, onto his pad, trying to cramp him for room. And then that last delivery, he's tried to bowl a ball that's just shaped away from the left-hander to invite the slips in. But he wasn't tempted enough by the look of it.
No, it's... man who has batted for a long time before and knows that he doesn't need to crash it all round Chelmsford. Porter is in again, outside off stump, and it's left. It gets some applause from behind the stumps, but a little too wide to really put the batsman under pressure.
Yeah, it just seems like they're starting to have their own tactics here. So it looks like Porter's just trying to bowl a bit more outside off stump, and bring those slips and gully into play. Whereas Gibbon looked like he was attacking the stumps a little bit more, didn't he?
He did, absolutely. He must have been listening to you, Kath. That is a much more a ball attacking the stumps, but in the end it's around middle, and it's moving towards the leg side. It's quite an easy turn around the corner for a single.
Yeah, there hasn't been many clear-cut chances here. Nothing really that has looked like it's been too threatening for these two opening. Young and Latham, they look quite settled actually.
They do, which is a little ominous for the County Select 11 at the moment.
We need the Essex faithful to get behind Porter here, don't we?
Oh, slightly false drive though there. It squirted off the outside edge. I think it doesn't go all the way there. It is a slightly slowish outfield. They'll go through for 3 fairly comfortably, but again, Porter just reminding the batsman that they can't take too many liberties. Attempts the drive, thickish outside edge, runs safely for 3.
I think with all the rain around Chelmsford yesterday, it just seems like this outfield is just a bit slower than it normally is. I think it will quicken up as the day goes on.
You're right, there has been some rain around for the last few days. As Porter in again, bending his back. Gets a little bounce, but it's played at the end pretty comfortably by Young.
Which makes it even more logical to wear shorts. Plenty of rain.
Come on, it's nearly June. Gotta wear shorts.
I was just trying to be positive. You had your sunglasses on earlier.
I did have my
so
sunglasses on.
There you go.
Put on my suntan lotion and everything. I mean,
Factor 50, or do we go a little bit lower?
about 30. About 30.
Good safe choice there, I think.
Minimum 30. I'm fairly Anglo-Saxon, so I need quite a lot of sunscreen.
Need all the help you can get in that department. Yeah,
exactly. I think I've been brown once in my life.
Must have been one of your many trips abroad, Guy.
Yes, I can't remember. Yeah, but it's stuck though. Oh, and that is a beauty again from Jamie Porter. Interesting, he didn't quite carry through to the keeper. 79 miles an hour, though, bit of movement, and Young was very definitely beaten on that occasion.
I was going to say that one looked like it just shot along the floor, kept a little bit lower than the others. Early on in Porter's spell, we saw a couple that actually leaped past, as you can see here on the replay. This ball just looked like it kept a little bit low.
Well, when we were commentating on a match here a week or so ago, there were one or two slightly variable bounces, not massive, but certainly enough to keep the batter thinking about it.
Yeah, I think early season pitches, they sometimes do tend to occasionally keep low if you hit a certain area. You're lucky those ones aren't straight. That's the main thing as a batter.
Ben Gibbon in again. Comfortable leave outside off, but Gibbon should still be pretty pleased with having to take the ball in Ollie Robinson's absence this morning. For those of you just joining us here on the live stream, Ollie Robinson felt his back have a problem when he was warming up this morning, so he won't be playing, and Ethan Bamber from Middlesex will. And that is a beauty. That was quicker. There was bounce. It was around the off stump. Now, you and I have had this debate before, Kath. Is now, was that a leave or was that?
Depends whose perspective you're asking, doesn't it? I think that's a full shot. That's a play and a miss, isn't it? Yeah, as a batter, I'd love to say, oh yeah, I've definitely left that.
just brought it inside last minute.
Just tried to make everyone too excited that something might happen.
I've been impressed by Gibbon. He's actually, I think, got better as this spell has gone on.
He has. He, as we were saying earlier, it looks like he's just settled into this spell as he's gone, and those last two deliveries, he's hit his spot, he's hit his area, which is all you have to do in this game. You just have to hit your area and hope the ball does the rest for you.
In again. Not quite as on the stumps as he has been, and that is a comfortable leave in the end.
He looks like he's just trying to shape that away from the left-hander, whereas before he went in, out swing. This over, he looks like he's trying to set him up in a different way. So whether we'll see one that nips off the seam and goes back in a minute will be possibly the one Latham might be vulnerable to.
In again. Ken gets applause from first slip.
That just cut back slightly, very slightly. Looks like a very skilled bowler, Gibbon.
Yeah, for such a young man in the early stages of his career, he's impressed throughout. I think he's played England age group. An absolute peach of a delivery. Absolute beauty. And he's got rid of Latham. He'd been improving and getting better and better in that spell, and that really was a superb delivery, nicely snappled in the slips. And Latham has to go for 11, and the breakthrough comes, and it comes via Ben Gibbon.
Fantastic bit of bowling there. I think the last 2 overs he's bowled really set him up for that, and he's bowled a fantastic delivery here that's just taken the outside edge and gone through to first slip. An easy catch straight to first slip as well. What fantastic start for him, and well rewarded for his spell there.
Well, it was just as you were talking about, Kath, he set him up a little bit, didn't he? He'd Previous over there'd been all about in-swing. This one was just getting the ball to dart away, but it was lovely movement off about middle and off, and that's a big wicket to take if you're a young pace man, to remove the man who's actually skippering New Zealand in these first couple of days here. But that is the end of Latham, caught well by Patel in the slips, and he has gone for 11. The first wicket falls at 15.
And that's the sort of wicket that gives you that confidence now. With the rest of your spell, you've bowled pretty well first up. You haven't gone for many runs. You've attacked the stumps. You've gone outside off stump. You're shaping it around, and you take a test man's wicket. So I think that will give him a lot of confidence now.
It was Ryan Patel, the Surrey man, who took the catch in the slips. It's quite nice because the players are wearing their different county caps depending on which county they are playing for. So the Brown Cup of Surrey was responsible for that catch, as Porter is continuing.
They look like they've got their tails up now here, Porter as well. After that early wicket, that's exactly what you want as a bowling side. You want to take early wickets and put some pressure on the batting side.
Interesting that when New Zealand won the toss and elected to bat, the weather was considerably brighter than it is now, and it has clouded over, and the ball doing a little bit more, possibly, but I think that they probably went for the batting practice rather than worrying too much about the conditions, as that's played out no run.
To be honest, we have about 5 seasons in a day here, don't we? So anything's possible. It could be sun and shining in about 5 minutes, or it could be raining and snowing. Who knows, Guy? Anything's possible.
That was a New Zealand band who sang about that, wasn't it? 4 seasons in one day. It was Tim Finn's band. Who's? I'll remember in a second. I'm having one of those aged moments. Crowded House, George. Absolutely right. Crowded House.
I'm glad George knew what you were talking about. I had no idea there, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Different
90s,
eras.
Talking 90s.
Oh, there we go.
And talking of 90s, still some way under 90 miles an hour, but bowling very nicely indeed at the moment, Jamie Porter, without a great deal of luck. He has a word with the umpire as he goes past.
The thing with Porter you're always going to get is that economy rate's going to be low, isn't it? So in all the cricket he plays, he doesn't really go for many runs.
No, he really does bowl a good length and line, doesn't he? He just keeps the pressure on at all times. You must love bowling with him, because if he is keeping the other end completely sewn up, then to be able to be at the other end to actually know that is sewn up and you can actually do a little bit more, it's a great bonus for the bowler bowling with him as well as what he is doing himself.
Yeah, it's bowling in partnerships, isn't it? So if the person at the other end's putting pressure on, they're not going for many runs, then that also helps you as a bowler, because collectively you put a lot of pressure on.
And this was a lovely ball from Porter. Spat just bounced in front of slip, but certainly Young, who's been in a while, that surprised him, and he did it back very well to keep the ball vaguely under control and not snick off to slip.
Yeah, this did look like it caught him by surprise. It just leaped off, hit him almost in the glove there. Maybe there is something in this pitch, Guy. It seems to be doing a few things now.
Well, it's amazing what a wicket does as well, isn't it? That suddenly the bowlers are a yard quicker. And that was a terrific over again from Porter, who's now bowled 5 off the reel for not very many.
And the Essex faithful like that, I think.
Yeah. Homeboy.
I think that always helps, especially if you're playing in a game of this magnitude. If you're at your home ground, you're very comfortable, aren't you? You know the conditions, you know what the pitch is like, you know where to bowl.
No, that was almost the first thing I checked when I saw that it was the select counties. Who from Essex have they picked for this one? So I wondered if Dan Lawrence might get a run as well, but having just drifted out of the England scene currently.
I think he's injured at the moment. I think I read he might be injured. So that's potentially why he's not playing this game. As an Essex player myself, I'm defending him. Can you see that? All right, as you said, it would be interesting to see what the England batting lineup is. Not only is the fast bowling lineup a little bit all over the place at the moment, it'd be interesting to see who gets the nod for the England Test side.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think that Messrs Anderson and Broad will be marching straight back into the starting 11 from everything Ben Stokes has said.
What were your thoughts on them being left out?
I could vaguely see what they were trying to do. Jimmy Anderson is now 39. We've got to get a succession in place. We've got to see who will stand up if they're not playing. But one, it didn't treat the West Indies with a huge amount of respect by not taking your best bowlers, and we lost. And two, in the end, I think it was counterintuitive, but I think that the bowlers didn't come through the way they'd hoped, and in fact, perhaps there'd be a better role as leaders and helping bring other bowlers through. But I think that's something they haven't always done, and maybe that is a role that they should be looking to do more of now.
Sure, and I think it's difficult when you haven't got an obvious choice other than them. You know, they're the best bowlers at the time. My personal view is they should be playing. If you look at football, someone like Cristiano Ronaldo, how bad Man United are at the moment, he plays. Does it matter how old he is? Do you think that matters, or is it just the best players at the time?
No, interesting. Do you play? Yes, he scores goals, but he doesn't track back and do the things that the team needs. So do you have a team man, or do you have an exceptional individual? A discussion that could go on and on and on.
I would take an exceptional individual, I think.
Really? Okay. I sometimes feel that
someone who's a game changer, definitely.
Yeah, substitute them.
Take him off after 70 minutes.
But of course, in cricket, we don't have this.
No, sure.
We don't have this ability to bring someone on for the right moment. So, but at the moment, Anderson and Broad are still taking wickets for fun.
I think the obvious choice would be Chris Wokes, but obviously he hasn't played a huge amount of cricket, has he?
And he's injured again. Because that is driven absolutely beautifully square for four. That hand off the bat in the end from Conway, but all under control. And that one did reach the ropes despite the damp outfield. And a nice way to get off the mark.
That's a pleasure to watch Conway bat, isn't it? He's been fantastic over the last couple of years for New Zealand. Even though that one wasn't quite in control as he wished, you could see his top hand stayed on the bat, which means he's controlled it at least with his top hand. Yeah,
he's got a mad record. He's played 7 tests, average fraction under 64 with a high score of 200. So yeah, this is someone in form.
And the thing about him is he's able to play different formats as well.
Absolutely.
He's not just a test player.
But in 7 tests, you've got 300s and 350s. You're doing something pretty right. And I've been looking forward to seeing him play, and that shot reminded me why. Absolutely lovely drive for 4. And the score goes on to 19 for 1 now after 10. Young off the mark with 4. And his batting partner, who's been there rather longer, is also on 4.
Yeah, these two, Young and Conway, will just be looking to bat time. Building a partnership after that early wicket, and trying to just get a feel for the conditions, really, and getting ready for the test match next week. This is a good run out for New Zealand.
It is, and in fact, I'm pleased to see that this is the kind of match that this is now turning out to be, because we've seen weakened county teams play tourists in recent years. Did that very nearly carry. was flicked off the toes. I think it was up in the air, and it just wasn't held onto. It was a difficult chance, if indeed a chance, at mid-wicket. Certainly. He has. He's beaten the bat on a couple of occasions. He's found the edge on a couple, drawn the false shot on occasion, and that is tucked though very nicely.